You guys are my first podcast.
For real? Dog
First
fans
exclusive podcast with Lorcana.
We have Howard, aka Lorcana Man, the one and only uh, judge, I would say, in our area, the Judge Phil. If you know, you know. Welcome to the Quest of the Guest podcast. This is what episode, Kevin? 20 something. I'm going to learn for the next time and be very consistent with that. But we are on the 20th something episode, and our guest today, the Lorcana Man. So I know that we met one day at like a local card shop.
Yeah.
I can't really remember which one,
Uh,
but I've always seen you throughout Instagram, and that's pretty much like your main space where you put out a lot of your content.
yeah.
Like, how did you make content from other card games before? Did you come from a space of social
No.
media?
No, actually, I actually never. This is my first TCG. I never played TCG ever before. I had friends that played Magic, and they tried to get me into it, and I just never got into it. And I actually saw that Disney was coming out with this card game, and I just wanted to collect one of every card. Like that was my goal, right? Like collect one of every card, and then put it away somewhere, and that be it. And I collect things, so I've always collected like sneakers and stuff like that. And then one day, some of my coworkers were like, "Hey, we'll teach you how to play this game." So I was like, "All right, cool." And I like to play card games. I like to play poker and stuff. So I started playing. I was like, "This is pretty easy," like it wasn't like anything like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh when my friends were teaching me. So I was like, "This is pretty fun." My first time I ever played like in person in real life, I played at Diamond Nine and out there in near Fullerton area. And I remember my buddy would told me about like there's some card shop that's playing it. They don't have any more cards for sale, but you can like win some cards. So I was like, screw it, I'm gonna go try it. It was actually my buddy Andy. You guys might know him. He plays red green a lot, and I always make fun of him. But
Oh, right.
yeah,
Yeah.
so we went there, played at Diamond Nine. I thought I was gonna be cooking because I had Ruby M at the time. I had like two Elsa, but I had no idea how to play. And then Andy at the time, he was like, he was just gonna drop me off and like go somewhere else. And then he was like, I do have this starter deck, this red green starter deck. He's like, shoot, maybe I should play too. And he ended up playing it, and that's why he probably plays red green to this day because he had the starter deck from the beginning. So started playing it, and then the reason why I created the Instagram account was because I actually didn't know how to use Discord. Like like I'm all new to this stuff, and everyone was like, "Oh, where do you play games?" Because you guys remember when Set One was out, it was like really hard to find a game. So they're like, "Where are you gonna play a game? Where are you gonna play a game?" And then they're like, "Oh, hit me up on Discord." I was like, "Oh, I don't got Discord. I have Instagram." But I was like, I don't want to give them my personal Instagram, so I made a Instagram just to communicate with other players, like where to buy packs and stuff like that, because I just didn't wanted to have my privacy. But I started doing that, started making a couple memes, and then here we are now. Lorcana kind of blew up, and it's grown to a lot of players, and yeah, and I just started making funny memes, and you know, like learn how to play. Like I'm not like the best player in the world. I'm not the most competitive. I can hold my own. I like collecting it, and my page is more about like the lifestyle, I guess, because like it's kind of like TCG lifestyle is unique, right? Like you have to buy sleeves, you have to buy binders, and I was kind of doing it for people who are new to this TCG kind of like lifestyle more than anything. But yeah, that's how I kind of get all started.
I've played card games for a long time, specifically Yu-Gi-Oh, and I've dabbled in other card games also. But Lorcana for sure brought in a lot of new faces. So, your content in particular, I definitely understand the jokes, and
Yeah.
I really appreciate it because it reminds me of some meme content that I used to do. Like, I'm gonna date myself. Back in like Facebook days when we were like in high school and stuff, we would make like memes for
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh, and it was really fun, and I personally think it's a great way to get a community built. Everybody loves to laugh, dude, and and people like laughing at themselves. People like laughing at scenarios that happen to them, whether it be like, oh, I got beat prepped on turn 7 from set 1, or going deeper into that, oh, I got goat, my opponent went double goat for game, stuff like that. Or sometimes you were posting memes about where to find product, or how hard it was to find, product. Dude,
Yeah,
isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy how like a year and a half ago, like Lorcana was the hot commodity. It was just so hard
yeah.
to find everywhere. People were fighting over it, and now everyone makes fun of it on TikTok because it's Pokemon, 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 Pokemon. How do you guys feeling about that?
Lorcana wasn't like the first like new game that like I missed in the beginning. Like, so I jumped into Lorcana full swing because I have like Kevin as well as other friends in my friend circle got into One Piece, and I saw that game start off, and I tried to dabble into it a little bit and kind of gave up after I didn't really commit, to be honest. I jumped full swing because I missed that opportunity, and I'm very glad I did. I would buy the product off secondary market, guys. Kevin knows that I would buy out offer out lots all the time and just be like, "Yo, I just cracked like 12 troves, 2 booster boxes, and a bunch of blisters." Like I had a bunch of singles, and I started there. I never sold the product. I never resold the product. I would rather resell the singles I would pull, and pretty much just started my vending journey in that game because I come from vending Yu-Gi-Oh.
There is like I've noticed in some of my content too, like there'll be some like Lorcana hate, and I see it. It's to me it's whatever. I feel that, I this is my first TCG, and I think what attracted me to the game was like my familiarity with like the characters, it was like I knew about One Piece. I saw like after getting into Lorcana, like I learned about TCGs, right? Like I Star Wars game came out, One Piece, and I dabbled and I tried every like card game. I was even at that Gundam thing. Like I definitely enjoy this TCG kind of like lifestyle, right? But not to be biased, but I feel that the gameplay for Lorcana is just right. It's simple enough for someone who's new to TCGs, yet you could be very strategic. And I think like even those little decisions you make, like when you're inking, I think it's just a well-made game. And on top of that, the art looks really great and it's characters right? Like Elsa freezes you, it's like you don't have to think about who these characters are.
Yeah.
So to me, that was the really appealing part, but also the community, seeing it from the very beginning to grow to where it is, like DLCs and all that, and seeing new players. I think it's been a really cool experience, to just see how, this community has been built, like not just the card game itself being evolving, but also the community. So I think that's pretty cool. Because I'm also a content creator that plays a lot too, right? Like I go to the LGS. Like some content creators, they might not even play. They're just trying to make content, which is fine. That's cool. But I'm out there playing the games. I'm trying to do like a kind of like a report of like how it is to play at a LGS, right? Like I want people to feel comfortable coming in there because a lot of the people I think they're Disney fans that are dabbling in it, right? Like to be honest, I've never been into a card shop to play a game, right? So I've always wondered, like, what happens in there? Like, how are those people in there for hours? Like, what's going on? And I feel like, with this channel, it's more of just trying to expose people to kind of how Lorcana is and how like the community is very friendly, right? Like, I feel like Lorcana 2 is like it's a unique competitive experience where you want everyone to win. You want your friends to win. Like, you're not too selfish and like, oh, me. It's there's a lot of like rooting for your friends. Like a lot of my buddies, they did great in LCQ. We got Sean who's going to Worlds. Like, it's really great. And like even Kevin, when you remember when you got to day two, like I did a little quick interview with you, like we were just so proud of you guys, like coming from Southern California, like to be on that stage, it's really awesome. And I wanted to show like even people who just started playing, like you could be playing with the best players in the world, right? Like just in your backyard, right? Like
A lot of people showcase what it's like to go to locals, and
yeah,
so like Instagram and TikTok and like even Twitter, they have like a very specific content creator community, different than YouTube and Twitch. Like every different platform has its own like content creators, right? Some bigger than others, whatever. But people definitely dedicate specific time to make like shorts and reels and such as
Yeah.
yourself, and it does take a lot of time, and you can tell. But one of the things for sure I've noticed is that it's more of a lifestyle like
Yes.
representation,
Exactly.
like you've been saying, and
Yes.
it's really fun.
Yes.
It's really cool because there's been so many times with other games or even getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh in my more recent times where I've always been like, I want to go to locals. Like I'm tired from work, but like I want to go to locals, but like nobody I know personally is gonna go. Like none of my friends want to go. I have to drive by myself, whatever, and I have to interact with strangers. Or I've never been to this locals. Like I've
Right.
seen this LGS on my Instagram before, but I've never gone before. And I get nervous. Like I don't know why. Even though
Yeah.
we're
Of
even though
course.
we're all there just to play a game of Disney characters, like, oh, I'll still get nervous. If it was Yu-Gi-Oh, I'll still get nervous. But Lorcana for sure has made that a lot easier. Like maybe it's
Yeah.
my bias of kind of being in the content creation space, or maybe it's just the fact that I'm comfortable with card games. But for sure, Lorcana feels like you said, like a lot more like friends wanting friends to just, if not win, just like people appreciate the competition.
Yeah.
Even if you're not like the meta player, like people just want to test out
Exactly.
their decks. People want to test out their what's it called when you play one of every card.
It's Highlander that you're thinking
There you
of.
go. Yeah, like some people will just take a Highlander deck to like League, at Caesar's, So people do stuff like that. I love when leagues do like the friendly, the friendlies
Yeah.
nights of like, oh, we're
Yeah.
gonna do a theme night
The
tonight,
the, the poor Kana, like
yeah, for
no
lack of a
Lorcana.
better
reference to
term.
any no specific reference to anyone. It's just
No, I was just gonna say I like seeing kids play Lorcana for that reason. Any card game realistically, but I think
Yeah.
I definitely think that
we were the kids playing card games.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't really see kids playing card games like in general. Like it's definitely a newer thing. I mean, growing up, my parents yelled at me for buying cards with my money, my birthday money and stuff. They thought it was a waste of money. But like it's really cool to see kids wanting to play Lorcana. I definitely see kids that are into Pokemon and Lorcana.
Mm.
I ain't never heard a kid say they want to open up a pack of Magic the Gathering. I'll be real with you. Very rare do I hear a kid ever want to play that game. But like Disney has done a good job so far getting some kids interested. And I really got to shout out the new set 7 foils for actually looking really good. The cold foils, have you seen
Right.
them? The whole card is foil. Actually insane. I know that's going to be a lot better for the kids. But yeah, man, a lot of kids play Pokemon, and a lot of kids have been getting into Lorcana. And just like you were saying, Zach, I love that, dude. I wish I would have been playing like way more Yu-Gi-Oh when I was like in middle school and high school. Like as crazy as it sounds, I needed to learn how to lose. Yeah, being a sore loser, or yeah, being a sore loser is hard to like learn how to not do or to grow out of. I think if you were if you're a type of way, and that goes with everything, whether it be like in sports, it be in card games, or it be like at work or something. And you got to get used to failure. You got to get accept that it's gonna happen. And like yeah, I wish I would have played like more competitive Yu-Gi-Oh or the card games when I was younger, so that I could like understand that more. But I feel like when I was done with high school, when I got really into it. I kind of was like, okay, there's winners and there's losers, and then there's some people who are just here for fun, and everything is fine in between. If you're taking it to a competitive level, you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some. If you're just there for fun, then the same thing's gonna happen. That's crazy, you know. So you
Yeah.
really just have to go for the
it's
love
very
of the experience.
humbling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's very humbling, right? And to travel even like hundreds or even thousands of miles to play in a big tournament and going like 0-2 drop, that's that's going to feel bad, and you have to realize that it happens to the best of us.
One thing, like you brought up a good thing about kids playing Lorcana. I actually taught both of my kids how to play Lorcana, and one of them, she has been doing pretty good. She kind of is like a little bit older now, so she's like, it's not cool, but she was really into it. I kind of forced her to go to a set champ with me, the Scar set champ, and she did really good. She got a card, and I was really proud of her. And she played against really competitive people at my LGS. The people at my LGS know my daughter's a decent player, and I think one of the life lessons she learned in playing that too is like building up your confidence to talk to people, right? And you're competing with them. And I think that was a very good life lesson as well. I think another thing that the community brings is like meeting people from all different backgrounds in life, right? Like if it wasn't for Lorcana, I wouldn't be in this Discord chat with both of you right now, right? Like this card game brought us together to have this conversation, and it's pretty neat to play with people from very different walks of life and different backgrounds, and we all have this common, passion of a Disney card game. So I think that's part's really cool about it too.
Personally,
D23. Shout outs to Melinda
oh
for
yeah,
those pass hookups. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure you know Melinda, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, I played Lorcana with her for a while. So yeah, yeah, she's a very prominent figure in the community too. Yeah, so that's really cool. Like like that's what I mean. Everyone's always helping each other.
You were actually going around town with the creators handing out promos at game stores, right?
I had. What do you mean?
a
The
wild card
like.
cyclone, I
The
think.
the playful sorcerer Mickeys.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. So yeah, I actually. Yeah, that was an interesting thing that happened. um, Steve. So I know Steve Warner, one of the co-creators of Lorcana, and he was down in town for D23, and he was like, "Hey, take me to some local card shops. Let's go play some games."
That's so
And
cool.
like,
I just gotta say that's
yeah,
so cool.
yeah,
I love
I was
that. I
really,
love that.
the creators, they're really cool people, and they really care about the game and the players. They care about the well-being of the players having fun, and I said, "Okay, let's go." And then I took him to Card Addiction in Anaheim, because D23 was there, and then he had another, there was another LGS that I go to called Wildcard Cyclone, and he's like, "Let me go to the one that you go to too." So him and Ryan, they came down, and it like they surprised everyone. I didn't even tell the card shop. I just walked in with them, and it was kind of funny.
Wow.
Yeah, at Wildcard, I told everyone on Instagram, I was like, "Hey, just make sure you come tonight to Wildcard Cyclone," but I didn't tell them why. And then when I walked in with them, like the whole store, like because they're all like heavy into Lorcana, they all knew who they were, but they were like dead silent. They were just like, "Did Howard really just bring in like
The
Steven
creators.
Ryan to the LGA? Like he just rolled in here like that?" And it took them a while, and then they warmed up the crowd, like started handing out promos, signing stuff, even playing games with us, playing Pack Rush with us. And I thought that was really cool. Like, we're just a small store in Temple City right there, and the co-creators came down to check out the scene, and that just shows what kind of people they are. Like they're not like these, like there's people who make product and stuff like that. They don't care about like you know the consumer or the players or what have you. And these two, you could tell they really do care about the community. So that was really awesome.
I want to go on record. I remember that day hearing rumors from certain Quest kids that something was going to go down at Wild Card
Yeah,
Cyclone. They're just like, oh, pull
Yes,
up.
no, I heard the same thing too, and Dre was actually someone that told me about it, and I was like, well, I can't. I think this was on a Tuesday or something,
yeah, it
or
was a
Monday.
Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday or a Monday. It's one of those two
Tuesday,
days,
yeah,
but I just didn't. I didn't end up going, and I probably was just like more so like tired from the weekend because like I think yeah Friday I went with Kevin to D23, which was the first time I went.
Yeah, I think it does speak a lot about the creators, like to do something like that. Like I love these locals, by the way. Shout out all the local game stores in our area. But like Wild Card Cyclone, like it's not like a grand store. It's not huge, and it's not in the nicest area either. You know what I
yeah,
mean? But like for the creators of a game like that to just pull up, and just kind of like play with the community. That's really it seems like a very genuine experience, especially if they just wanted to go
yeah,
play some games and whatnot. Huge shout out to them. Huge shout out Wild Card Cyclone. That sounds really fun. I can't believe you did that though. You just walked in on them. The owners are probably like, dude,
yeah.
that's
Yeah, they're like, what? It was funny too. The guy who was behind the counter at Wildcard, um, he was like, "Oh, you're friends of Howard's. Like, what's your name? Are you guys gonna play?" And they were just gonna play Pack Rush. They weren't gonna actually enter the tournament. And then,
Mhm.
like you could tell, like everyone in the store was like, "Dude, those guys invented Lorcana." And then it took the guy behind the counter a while to figure out. He's like, "Oh,
I'm
that's
glad
really
to hear
cool."
they care.
Yeah, yeah, they really do, man. I think like everyone at the team at Ravensburger, like you guys know like Steve, he develops the card game, and they really take a lot of care and consideration into making this game great for all of us. So that's really awesome to see.
Yeah, like I understand that it's a game, and people are always gonna have their opinions and criticisms on the mechanics and whatnot. But the fans sometimes, I really do find a little bit of the doomer attitude, just a little bit distasteful. Sometimes I see on Twitter, specifically Twitter, because it's usually Twitter, where people tend to be like, "Oh, this card is broken," or "Ban this card," or "What were the creators thinking?" or this and that, and
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
And it could be a little rough sometimes. And I'm like, bro, Ryan Miller and Steve Warner are like some of the nicest dudes I've ever interacted with. So I'm like, if there's something mechanically wrong with the game, I'm like, you know what? I'm sure they're gonna give us another Bucky style action, um,
yeah.
but I know that they want the game to be good. That's what's important. Like from everything I've seen so far, Lorcana, compared to like even other card games, they want their game to be good. They want their game to be playable. They want it to be easy to learn. And so far, I think they've hit all those check marks. Personally, I just think it needs to be a little bit more collectible. Personal opinion.
Card game itself is constantly evolving. I mean, this set I think is so revolutionary to like Lorcana. Like I feel like we saw the locations and we saw damage, moving damage and all that. I feel like this one with the dual inks and the tampering with the ink, like with Geyser, they kind of dabbled with that with Mufasa. Like, I think those are very interesting dynamics of the new set, and it'll kind of revitalize like the gameplay. But to your point, Kevin, on collectability, right? It's going to be like, okay, then what? How do we do that part? Like, because I am a collector too, and you know, collectors like to collect things that are rare and valuable, and that's where it kind of like, okay, what's how do they do that? Do they make certain enchanteds more rare than others? Like I don't know, but I do hear you what you mean by that. I do agree that there could be something more on the collector's route that is more on the collecting randomization of buying packs versus like someone who wants to collect a golden Mickey, right? Like if you're a hyper super whale of a collector, instead of other than buying one, it's not like you're gonna train that great and like go win a golden Mickey, right? So Pokemon people, right? Like they collect Pokemon cards. But when I ask them, "Do you play?" They most of the time they say no. They don't play. They just rip packs to get like this Pokemon Pikachu with a crown on his head or something like that, like or Umbreon or whatever. But they're just trying to collect the cards. They don't play. Where I feel like Lorcana, I'm seeing more people ripping packs to like, oh, I'm trying to get a Maui Shark so I can play it. So it is an interesting dynamic. I don't, and you guys would know more than me because you guys have two great stores. Kevin, you at Ninja Exchange, Zach at Frankensons, and you guys know like I bought a bunch of cards from Zach, so like you guys know I'm a good customer. But as you guys know, like when it comes to those cards, it's like I don't see people buying Lorcana packs to collect them. I haven't seen that yet. Like just ripping packs to collect as much as I have in the Pokemon scene.
The collectability for Lorcana is interesting because we don't know when reprints or printings of certain things are going to happen, so there's a little bit of volatility there into like buying certain things.
Mhm.
Also, they the amount of cards that are, I would say, like priced higher than like every other card in like the set that they're in doesn't really equivalent to equal like you know pack and box distribution to like value, right? So
Mhm.
most of the time people aren't willing to open the product because they aren't going to get so much back from it. Not everyone wants to open up boxes because it's just not worth it for the value. Up until these cards and these singles start to go higher in them, I won't see that change.
Yeah. And to your point of that too, like just to circle back on like, fun events, like I do feel like when a new set comes out, there's like this anticipation of the new set and people don't want to play like set 6 constructed, right? And one of the events I had at the game cellar a couple weeks ago was one was a chaos sealed where we did sets 1 through 6, and we also did a chapter one like event too. Yeah, it's interesting because I think the people like you were talking about, Zach, the people who are buying those singles, like these players, I felt like the players would go to those events, but I feel like the collector. I'm trying to figure out like what would the collector want to go to, right? Like that's an interesting point you bring up, the whole singles versus boxes, right? And the ROI on that. I think that's a very fascinating kind of economic business in the trading guard game thing, right? Like, and I know like people will say like you're better off ripping up like a One Piece box or something like that for the collectability. But yeah,
Like I
go
like
ahead.
having singles available for a lot of the patrons, and having a balance of singles and product is tough because if no one's really buying the product, no one's like buying opening it to have singles available. Every so often there are some people that just bringing me like big lots, and that's really nice. But I empathize more with the collectors because like myself, when I'm trying to buy something that I don't really intend to like resell, I'm trying to get it for as low as possible because I know it's like maybe it goes down and I just don't feel as bad buying it. But if I just want to keep it or hang on to it for a long time, yeah, I'm not looking to spend the most amount of money just for my own personal use. But you set margins as a business, and yeah, there is percentages you do stick to when you're buying and selling singles. But for the product, you order it, you get it, and every so often you can get it off the secondary market. But Lorcana is different than how it was during the first chapter, so not a lot of people are reselling it on the secondary market because it's not really worth the flip.
If they are reselling their Lorcana, it's like their old Lorcana and they're selling it really low. I said it on the Market Watch Monday. I've been saying it recently. I feel like a lot of people are offloading their Lorcana assets for like Pokemon. But to what you guys were saying, I just want to like follow up real quick and mention that Lorcana has done a very good job at getting people to play the game. Howard, you made a very great point. A lot of people that come into our booth asking for Pokemon don't play Pokemon. You can tell when there's a Pokemon player though because they ask for very specific things, and I'm like, well, I do play the game. So Zach's closer to Los Angeles. I'm in San Diego, kind of Carlsbad. I have a very like huge casual community for every card game. Like every card game that's played there in that area, it's played to like a very like friendly level. Like they're like most people who play, like they're not trying to be regional champions there. However,
Right.
Frankensons, there's booth owners at Frankensons that are literally former national champions for their card games. So a lot of people who play metagames, they go to those places. But again, Zach, I don't know if that happens to you, but I got a lot of people who come to collect Lorcana. They're looking for specific like Disney characters. A little girl came over on Sunday and she was looking at the case like this. It was adorable. And I was like, "Do you have a favorite Disney character?" And she's like, "Yeah, Cusco." And she was like 7, and I was like, "Whoa, Cusco! That's like that's like a very rare thing to hear from a little kid."
That's a niche,
Yeah,
like
right. For like a 7-year-old girl, like
Emperor's New
Cusco.
Groove is not a Disney movie
Yeah,
most
like
kids
girl, that
gravitate to
that
like
movie's
that
older
right
than you.
away.
That movie's
Yeah.
older than you, girl. But like, but it was really cool to hear, and like, I wanted to give her a cool Cusco card, but like, I have like foil Cusco Wanted Llama, then we have foil Cusco the Selfish Emperor, and then the promo Cusco from Nationals. And immediately I'm thinking like I want to give this little kid like a cool Lorcana card, but these are kind of boring. Like the cold foils are boring. The promo, the non-foil promo is really cool, but like no, it's $50. I'm gonna give this kid, and it shouldn't be like, yeah, I know why it's $50, but there should be more cards. Like there should be a Cusco Wanted Llama that's like a full art or something shiny that like really pops out that I could give to that little kid. You know what I mean? And she was happy. I gave her like 2 Cusco's non-foil, and then she was obviously happy. She loved it. And then the little sister was like, I want something, and I was like, what's your favorite? And she likes Elsa, so I gave her an Elsa from the starter deck. But that one comes foil, and it's a different type of vibe. But for sure, they're looking at the Enchanteds, and I asked like their mom, like, "Oh, are you guys here for Lorcana?" And they're like, "No, no, our son actually is here for Pokemon." And on the other side of the booth, he's cracking packs with the other guy that works at the booth, right? And like, I give them a pack and they open it and they don't know where the hit is. They don't know because they're not looking at the rarity. They're just looking for the shiny thing, and they don't really get it. And it's just different, like with different vibe, entirely different vibe, like on that level. And I think that's kind of what's missing. So I'm really happy the cold foils are fully foil now because they really pop out at you. But yeah, there's people who collect Lorcana for sure. A lot of the players build master sets. That's for sure one thing I've learned. But a lot of people come in like they'll buy like one pack a day, but they'll tell me like, oh yeah, the hit rates to get an enchanted, like it hurts because they see their neighbors, their homies, everybody they know is getting into like Pokemon, and Pokemon hit rates are you pull like a full art very quickly. It'll be like a $5 full art, but it's still a full art card. Like you can tell that the Pokemon company has gone through like very long lengths to be able to print like the type of cards they print. And it's really cool. Like it's honestly really cool. And I know Lorcana is gonna get there. I know it's only like 2 years, but I think my little like thing that irks me and I keep bringing it up is that like they came into this industry, and this industry already has a standard. You know what I mean? This isn't a new industry. This industry's been around for a very long time. So I do think that they got to keep up with the standard a little bit. One Piece is doing a great job with keeping up with that standard, by the way. One Piece cards look beautiful.
Yeah.
The new Enchanteds for set 7 have me super hyped. I'm looking forward to these. I think these might be some of the best ones yet. The only ones I could say were better were probably Shimmering Skies and the first chapter, but these are really good. So I want to rank them in a tier list with you guys. That's cool. I want to go ahead and set that up real quick. Yeah, but we're gonna go ahead and rank these Enchanteds by what? How are we ranking these? By what they do, by what they look like, our expectation of them, or just our general opinion? What do you guys think? But first, I gotta change these. We all know that this is called the buns section. That's the Lorcana Goons staple. And then this is the goo. All right, and then everything else in between.
Okay,
tier.
so
So let's start off with All Is Found. This is the 5-cost song. That gets two cards from your Inkwell, puts them into your 2 cards from your discard pile, puts them into your Inkwell Exerted. How do you guys feel about that one? I like the artwork personally. It's one of my favorites. Don't know if it's a personal chase. You know what? I think this one is my personal chase. Tamatoa I think is like the fan favorite, so we'll get to that towards the end. But this is one of my personal favorites. I want to put it in the goo section because I'm a big fan of Frozen. Frozen hits me in the heart, in the emotions. What about you guys? What do you guys think of this one?
like here's where I'm gonna kind of say we do this tier list, right? Goo, best artwork, best ability, right?
Best
Okay.
ability.
Tier two, it's got like one of them and a little bit of the other. Tier 3, it's one, not the other. Tier 4 is a little bit of one and not the other. And buns, it's got none.
I think it could be used in the future though,
tier 2.
I think
tier 2 is where I was. Yeah, tier 2 is valid, right?
You agree, Howard? You agree, Lorcana
Because
man?
the artwork is.
Yeah, no. The artwork is great. There's a lot of hype on the artwork of this card, right? Like people that I've seen that don't really play Lorcana just like are like, this card looks amazing, and it just kind of hits you in the feels, I guess, right? So I think like, yeah, definitely tier 2.
Exactly, right in the feels.
Right in the feels, right? Because we all know what happens. You know.
Oh no. Okay.
Really quick. I want to skip over to the slipper.
The slipper. Okay, we'll bring the slipper to the front. Okay.
Yeah, I want to screen over to the slipper. So
last slipper.
It's another one where I'm just like, this is artwork is broken, but it's like ability is like weird. And it's one of the first cards we've seen that says you can't play like we've seen cards that say you can play like, unlimited amount or 99 cards, to puppies. This one says you can only play, one more copy of this card. So
it has like a ban. It has like a ban list. It's like a ban list in the card already. It's like pre-banned.
Yeah, this is semi-limited right away. But I don't know about this card's ability, right? But it's artwork impeccable, so I think it can be tier 3.
Yeah, I agree. I like when I first saw this card before I read the effect, I was like, they finally did like a glass slipper, and it's enchanted. Like, I thought it looked really cool. But you're right. The effect was not. I think it's more of like a cool looking card, and I think too, it's hard to get like goo tier 2 when it's not a character. Like, I always feel it's so challenging, right? Like, it's very challenging to get to that level. But yeah, I think tier 3 is about right.
Yeah, I can see that. Honestly, it's not my favorite artwork. I'll be real with you, but maybe it's just me. I'm not a fan of, like you said, I'm not a fan of the items being enchanted. This is like they feel a little bit so for this image there's too much hand, too much background, not enough glass slipper. I want to see the glass slipper as like the main part of it. So I got to put it tier 3, and it's uninkable. I can't with
No,
Uninkables, bro.
tier 3 is where I agree too.
Okay,
So
okay.
you're not pushing it then in any way. But yeah, no, my favorite enchanted of the set is the Aurora, which is up next, and I know its ability feels weird, but I'm telling you, this belongs in more of an Amber Ruby strategy rather than like an Amber
Mhm.
Steel strategy. I would think.
I agree. I agree for sure. It's when
So
you ready it when you heal it, right?
yes, and when any other character, I believe, is healed, not just her, right?
Okay. I love the artwork. It's a amber card, but it looks like a sapphire card almost. I think this one's gonna be up there. Personally, it's a princess. It's one of the nicer princesses. Don't know if it's gonna be like up like Cinderella price, but I think this would be like this like up there with the first chapter Aurora price, maybe a little cheaper. Tier 2. How do you feel? Tier 3?
I might put that at goo, man.
Yeah, you think so? It's up there. Yeah. The artwork is great. The artwork is
The
beautiful.
artwork
I
is
agree with
great,
you.
and I think a lot of I think Amber Still players are gonna use it too. I think I don't know.
Senior
I
5. I
just
mean,
feel
it's people wanted to
it's
replace
Senior 5,
Gaston
right?
because it
Yeah,
can
yeah.
right because it's a turn 3. It's a 3 cost if I'm not mistaken. So you can play it instead of Gaston. It can be hit by Brawl. That's the main issue, and that's kind of why you want to play
Yeah.
Gaston instead. But yeah, it's another singer with a decent effect, right? If you're using
Yeah,
Rapunzel and stuff. There is a world where
but
it's played.
yeah, I mean, like it could also swing into like something that damages for 3. You heal it with Rapunzel, ready, and can't you sing again? You know, like you get like two effects from that, right? Like I don't know.
So
That's pretty cool.
my only like qualm with this card, and this is why I
Uh-huh.
don't want to agree with the goop
Mhm.
tier, is that this card in the Amber Steel, you really are not taking full advantage of its ability. You have obviously your, you can remove the damage with like characters like Rapunzel.
Mhm.
But outside of that, you don't have any other cards that are doing that unless you're playing like heal what has been hurt. Or you're playing like I
The
think there's a
Madrigal,
one.
Isabella, right?
Yeah,
Is
or Julieta. It's
Oh yeah, yeah.
the one for. Yeah. So that's like okay, but that's why I feel like it's better in like an Amber Ruby strategy because you have a lot of songs that you can sing and like re-readying this and like re-singing like don't forget that like Pirate's Life is a sing together, so you can like sing Pirate's Life,
Mm.
restand it, like replay another song.
It sounds to me, Zach, like it's playable, regardless of where it's playable, and it's still
So
playable. So I would still put it in goo.
but then we're talking about Amber Ruby, and there's a lot of people that wouldn't consider that deck or that color combination like tier 1. So that's why
Mm.
it's like I don't know if it's gonna belong in the goo because the artwork is good, but the effect is like eh. So that's
S-
what tier 2 is, right? Like
Personally,
that's what.
I want to lower the standard just a little bit because a lot of enchanteds are notoriously just unplayable. Like not even the effect is like just unplayable
That's
enchanteds. I think
they're not gonna always make playable enchanteds, but there is a good amount of them that are playable. They just always happen to be Emerald Steel related.
yeah, right. Like okay, so I want to leave it. I sorry, Zach. You're gonna get them. You're gonna get overruled.
Hey,
We're gonna
two
get
out of
in
three.
goo.
Two out of three.
If
2 out
both
of 3.
Both you and Howard say it's
Ho-
goo, then
Howard
that's a
and Goons.
democracy here. We're going off this.
Okay, okay,
I
yeah.
mean, if you think about it,
I think it's
we
gonna be
know
played.
the most chased card. We know what that's going to be, and that's going to be towards the end. But like, it can be arguably said that this is the second or third most chased card.
I think it'll be up there.
Right?
I think it'll be up there for sure. How do you think about Bell? Is Bell going to be up there? This is the starter deck Bell, the Ruby Sapphire Dual Ink, one of the first Dual Ink enchanted cards. And personally, not my favorite effect. The artwork is beautiful. Like I like it a lot. I wonder how it's going to look as an enchanted, but just but it's probably not my personal chase. What about you guys? I'm voting for tier 3.
Um,
It's good artwork.
so
It's good artwork, just not my favorite
you
artwork.
can
There you go. That's
you
what I want
can
to say.
probably play it as early as turn like 5, like in more of a consistent manner. I'm sure with like other like unique situations, you can easily play this before that. But I'm just thinking of a world where, like, you're playing Ruby Sapphire, you popsicle, you banish it, you play this, you sail, you play another popsicle, you Hiram, you put that popsicle in your discard pile, and then what? It's a shift 7 that can be a shift 5 with your 2 items in your discard. Isn't that how it works?
I think that's right. Yeah, that should be right. That should be right.
Yeah. So then you can shift. Then you can basically play it on turn 4, right? As early as turn 4, by ramp acceleration. So that it's. I think it's playable. I think this card's playable. I just don't think that this it's like it warrants, like, like anything out of like reach. Like, it's not something that it's like going to be like overly powered. But I think this card's playable. So I would say you can easily throw it in the goo because I like the artwork personally. It's the second Bell Enchanted, right?
I could see it as goo or tier 2. I do think because it's Belle, it's like has cachet, right? Like
Mhm.
I feel the princesses always have like that cachet.
Yeah,
And I mean, what is she what she's a 7 cost, right?
I think it's a
Isn't
9
it? She's
cost.
Technically a
9 cost.
9,
Okay.
shift
Yeah,
7.
yeah. So
Mhm.
I mean, like she could sing B prep too, right? If
Oh
you
yeah,
do that,
that's
right? Like
that's
so
crazy. That's
all
kind of
goo
wild.
right? Like you can play B prep on turn 4.
Or you
So
could
maybe
sing dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
yeah,
This card in particular like bumped up in terms of playability when they announced that Sapphire Bell that pops items. So I'll put it in Goo too. Maybe I'm underestimating it. And it's Bell, like you said, the princess tax. I feel like
yeah,
most
I like
princesses are like $100.
I like that. I like
Okay,
that.
okay. What about Bolt? This is a good boy. One of the Doge Enchanted rares. I like this one. There's already like kind of like and I'm sure you've seen this Lorcana man being the meme expert you are. There's a lot of talk about the way this Bolt
Yeah,
looks. That he looks very
yeah, yeah,
concerned.
yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I think people are gonna want this Enchanted. I think it's gonna be up there with like the Baymax Enchanted from Azurite Sea. It's just nicer artwork though. So I kind of want to put it in Goo also because I think the ability makes it playable. Gain a lore right in the beginning of your turn whenever anything's ready to actually. So it'll happen
Whenever
whenever during the
whenever
turn.
this character's ready, I think you gain a lore for each undamaged character you have in play.
Hmm.
And there's like a handful of cards that do this, that restand cards.
Yes.
And we know its ability to also exert itself and banish an illusion character. Um
Yeah, that's
yeah.
crazy. Like I
So
forget about that
so
effect.
Reina Jafar, right? Reina Jafar. We have we still have Shift Simba from the Pride Protector from set 6. There is Sven and Try Everything. Those are cards that restand
Mhm.
your characters. You have the Judy Hobbs, but that one's like more like a little bit slower. I think that one's at the end of your turn. But still, like, you have a lot of ways of restanding characters, and this card has a lot of like OTK potential. Definitely got to throw it in the goo category. I think there's a good amount of goo cards, in my honest opinion here, and I think there's like 2 enchanteds that I know, at least I feel like, are going to be in the buns category. But yeah, do you guys agree on the bolt, or how do you
Yeah,
feel,
I agree
Howard?
on the yeah, I 100% agree with you guys, and I also think there's some cachet of it being, like, the marquee character, right, of the set, right? It's like it was like one of the first looks of
It
this
was
set.
Yeah, it was the first card we knew going into it, right?
Yep,
Yeah,
it's like the
so I
reveal
think
card.
that's really I think, like, something like that also and also the meme factor, right? Like, that meme is just gonna make it go up there, so,
Yeah.
for sure.
I think we found our first buns. At least that's my
100%,
opinion.
yeah.
Devil's Eye Diamond. Exert this, and if you have a character that battled this turn or challenged this turn, you gain a lore or was damaged this turn. I believe it's damaged this
Where
turn.
is that card from? Like, what movie? What property?
Yeah, I'm stumped on that one. I just
So
feel
it's
like
from the Rescuers,
Oh,
because it's Madame Medusa.
interesting effect. Not I don't see it being really super
I need to
playable.
see this card in real life,
yeah.
but I'm gonna throw it in buns for right now.
This is kind of boring.
But it will be
Yeah.
tier 4 if I like how shiny the diamond is.
Okay, yeah, if they do something, but from what I've seen with the Enchanteds, it's just like the same kind of blanket foiling they did with all of them. There's no like there's no change in like any specific parts of the card. So I don't think the diamond's going to be any more shiny than the rest of the card, but I could be wrong. But again, not my favorite. I think when I saw this Enchanted, I was like, ooh, like this is for sure one I don't want to pull. Like low key, like what was it? The Bell's workshop or Bell's house, that one and Bad and
Rest in
On.
peace to anybody that's pulled Treasure Mountain.
Oh, that's another one.
Mountain.
Treasure Mountain is another one. There's a couple. There's a couple.
Radigan's Party is also pretty rough.
That one's cool. I personally actually really like the artwork for Radigan's Party. Bad and On, I guess. Okay. What about Tramp? This is a classic. Tramp. A classic.
So what does its ability do? Because I'm
you
not so
can-
familiar with the card's ability.
You
If you have
pay.
a character named Lady, you pay one less to play this character. So you need to have Lady out there, and I think Lady is the dual ink, right? So
There's a dual ink lady and a one cost uninkable lady, and yeah, Tramp
And
is
then
a
what is its stat? What is its stats? What is Tramp's stats?
1/3.
he's a two cost inkable 1/3, and when you play him, you can pump up a character by one strength per other character you control.
It's kind of like, remember Meg from the set 1?
Yes.
You pump someone up.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 2/1. I think it's like a tier 3, in my opinion.
I think it's tier
But I do
2.
like the-
Oh, go ahead.
Is it eating the spaghetti in the art?
He is eating the spaghetti.
It is eating the spaghetti in the heart.
The spaghetti.
Minimum tier 3 card.
Because of the spaghetti. Because of the spaghetti.
Minimum, absolutely. Artwork is great.
One of my friends that's really good at One Piece. He read this card and he said, "This card's really good." He just read it as like in a vacuum, and he was like, "This card could be really really good." And then I showed him the other Tramp and the other lady, and he was like, "Yeah, this card has potential in like one of those like Mufasa aggro decks." So I'm gonna put it in tier 2 because again the spaghetti, that's 1 point for sure. It's a dog, so automatically not tier 4. And Tramp, Lady and the Tramp for sure is like an iconic nostalgic for a lot of people. I know me in particular. It's one of the first few Disney movies that I saw as a kid with my mom. So like I know if I pull this card, I'm be happy.
Yeah, for sure. Tier 2 or 3, but yeah, tier 2. I get the spaghetti thing. Yeah, it definitely pushes it over.
I got a hot take on our next one.
Donald?
On our Donald Duck, too high cost. It's uninkable, and then it's only tier 4 because it's Donald Duck. I'm indifferent about the artwork.
I'm going tier 3. Personally, I think Donald Duck. I think that he's a magician makes it one more tier higher. I like the artwork. The artwork is good, but the effect is so bad. The effect is so bad. I don't want to play this card, and I don't want to really have this card because I'm gonna be mad that it's not inkable every time I look at it.
I do agree with the tier 3, tier 4 level. I think it's the neat part is it just changes the game dynamic. Whether or not it's good or bad, I think it's just unique, right? Like there's a uniqueness to it that we've never seen in a card before, right? Like taking the game to 25, they had to change the app, and they had to like all the spinners. Like, what are you gonna do with all the spinners? So to me, I think that novelty, I would say tier 3, but I do hear you. Like it's pretty much getting it just purely off novelty and Donald Duck, in my case. And then there was all that rumor about like how does this relate to Sorcerer Mickey? So there's some lore there too. So I don't know. I think it's just a funny, unique card. I do think that despite the playability, I do feel like it will be a chase card.
Yeah,
Just
it's
because-
Donald. The Pie Slinger Donald went from like $50 to $100 because he's Donald. So I think it'll be up there as a chase card for
It's
sure.
Donald, and
Yeah.
yes, it's a second. I think it's second Enchanted Donald that we have.
Yep,
So, and I have to always say that like that's what's going to make Enchanteds like what they are, is because like certain characters are very meaningful to a lot of people, and then
Yeah.
Donald's a classic card, been around for a very long time. So yeah,
I really like this next character. This character is really meaningful to me. It's the Hiro Himada Enchanted. Big Hero 6, I think, is my favorite Disney movie. I can confidently say it's my favorite Disney movie now. Personally, I like the set chance promo way more than the
yeah, dude.
right?
Agreed.
Yeah,
Yes,
agreed.
like tier 3 on the other one, and then almost goo on the set champs one
Right?
because
Yes.
It
that
feels
ability is
Yeah.
good.
it is
That
good.
ability
Yeah.
is good.
I think it's going to be
The
really good in the
ability.
future. I think it could be really good in the future too. It might be a little hard to pull off right now, but there's a world where like the more they add to this universal shift mechanic, the more Floodborns that come out within that color pairing. Ooh, this card becomes really good.
Oh, go ahead, Zach. Go ahead, Zach.
I just wanted to say also like Emerald has like a lot of disruption cards, and so like yeah, imagine just removing resources and like having this character in play, like it's way too good. I think this card's way too good. It's just like not going to like take off immediately, but like you said, in the future, it's going to even get better. And I mean they thankfully it's limited to a color combination.
Yeah,
But
right.
there's still a lot of insane like Shift Sapphire cards, insane Shift Emerald characters that I think it's enough to warrant like a card like this being a problem in the future.
I think like we're just giving it tier 3 just because we know that the set champs stuff is going to be great. And even just talking about the set champs, it's like just participating, you get the altered art.
It would have been cool if it was full art that you pretend non-full art the way that the DLCs. But hey, like, we're taking steps in the right direction. This one for sure is gonna make me go out and play a set champs. How do we feel about
Yes.
how do we feel about Jafar? This dual ink Jafar. I'm gonna start off with my personal opinion. The hot
Sure.
take. I want to put it in buns for the main reason that there's no way we don't get another Enchanted Jafar next set, right? Because Jafar is the main character next set. And I'm pretty sure they're probably going to make that Jafar next set also the set championship Jafar. And I feel like we're getting way too many Enchanted Jafars. So I didn't really want an Enchanted Jafar in this set, especially not one that's a starter deck card. But maybe I'm just being a hater. So I'll bump it up to tier 4. But what do you guys think?
I don't think the ability's good.
No,
No.
me neither. I don't think it's good either.
I'm not a fan of the ability. I do like the artwork though. Um, but I would say like four or buns. I don't know about 3, but I do like the artwork. I'd
I
go.
can say it. I can say it's 4. I can say it's
Yeah,
4.
A lot of
yeah,
people like the
Um,
artwork, and I think the artwork is really good. But I think that's
yeah,
really all it has going for it, you know. And once again, I'm a little peeved because I know we're gonna get Enchanted Jafar in
yeah,
Jafar's reign. There's no way they don't give us another
yeah.
Enchanted Jafar. So it's like, how many Enchanted Jafars do we really need? He's not.
Exactly. Oh, I was gonna say, like you said, you know it's gonna be a set champ thing too, right? Like the way they did Ursula's, and like
Yeah,
it's kind of like a pattern, right? Like every 4 sets is like the ending
villain.
of a villain,
Yeah,
right?
they're,
It's
they're fighting a villain.
right? Yeah, so it's like, set 4, we had the Ursula's Return, we had the multiplayer, Return Reign of Jafar, we have the multiplayer. I think so too. I do think one thing to point out on the art that I think is really cool though, on the top part of the art, you kind of see that Arcasia's island top left, and then like
Uh
it's fading to the Jafar snake.
oh, okay.
So it's also like a foreshadow of the lore. So I kind of that's the part that I dig in it. It's kind of like if you really look at it closely, like the background, it's like the smoke or whatever, the sands of time or whatever. If you look at it, it's like Jafar's world, and then like behind it is Arcasia's island. So I thought that was like a cool effect artistically.
Yeah, I like that they always go out of their way to add little tidbits of the lore
Yeah.
in the game so far, and I also like that the puzzle pieces this time, like the little extra card stuff you get in the packs, they tell you more of the story. That's gonna be really dope. But Jafar is not Mickey Mouse, you know. We can have Enchanted Mickey Mouse every set. I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
yeah, but one thing about the Dual Link Enchanteds is that like at least for the Bell, they did a good job of like splitting like some of the artwork for like it's being a Dual Link card. But like we look at the hero, and then we looked. I mean that's a set champ hero because that one's good. But the tier 3 hero and then the Jafar, I don't know if it did a good job splitting the Dual Link, and that's kind of why I felt like that one wasn't like the best. But this Mickey, I'm gonna just flat out come out the gates and say it's tier 2. Effect's not bad, and the artwork is great.
You guys are really good players of this game. And I wanted to know like that stat line of 1-1 though, like is it to kill like a Chernobygs or something? Like you're obviously using it to kill itself, right? But like or maybe kill a Diablo. Like I'm just trying to figure out like how would you guys play this card?
I would play it as like a pseudo fire the cannons kind of thing in combination with Cogsworth. I think that's like the safest way to execute it. Playing
Uh,
this character and like expecting it to survive or expecting it to like have a clear challenge is probably not going to go off unless you have something like Elsa in your deck to make your opponent exert something that they really didn't want to. So I think the
yeah,
best way to utilize this is with a rush character. And I think the 1/1 stat line is really slow, but him being just simply a 2 cost character makes him playable.
right,
Because there is a world in the future where they make something that just says give all your Mickey characters rush. You know, they did it with Pirates Life. Give all your Pirates
uh,
Life. Sorry, I did it with Jolly Roger. Give your Pirates
Jolly Roger,
rush.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, or maybe they make a card that says make all your Mickey characters pirates, and then suddenly this guy has rush. So, if there is a world where you give this guy rush constantly or something like that, like he becomes just a 1 damage,
He,
and you can make
he's a
really
hero,
good.
right?
He is a hero, I think. Yes, I do
So
believe.
Imperial Bow.
Ooh. You see what I mean? Imperial Bow is
yeah,
already it's a cool ways. Does it give Challenger or Evasive? No, does it give Rush? I don't know, but
yeah,
you could
Gives
use
Challenger and Evasive.
you
Yes.
could also use
yeah,
White Rabbit's Pocket Watch, Amethyst Steel. You set that up.
yeah, yeah.
It's just there's a couple cool ways you can trigger this. There's a Ruby card. It unfortunately probably won't work because he only has 1 willpower. But there's a Ruby card that I believe says like deal damage to it and give it rush or something like that. That's pretty cool. So there's a couple cool ways you can use this as a combo piece. I think Amethyst Steel has the best capabilities though because this is a
Yeah.
very like
Croquet Pal.
yeah, it's a very high cost like combo if you want to do stuff because you're gonna have to play the card from your hand that you want to use. And Amethyst has the best way to refill your resources with like draw cards, you know. So
Mhm.
good potential. I think tier 2, especially because I like the idea that like this playing cards for characters for free thing is starting to happen. Let's go over this Mirabelle Madrigal. Another Duel Ink Mirabelle Madrigal. What do you guys think of this one?
The artwork is. I'm indifferent about the artwork. That honestly, like that one, I think is a tier 4 in my opinion. It's a
Yeah, this is a
Mirabelle, so you can't really shame her, but you know, I'm not a fan of the effect, and I'm not the biggest fan of the artwork.
it's not the first. It's like we had a Mirabelle Enchanted and we also had a set champ, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, maybe tier 4.
yeah, I'm down for
Yeah.
tier 4.
Look at this family, I think, as the Enchanted, and then we had the Store Champs
Oh
Mirabelle.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I like look at this family a little bit more. I like the colors. It's nice, and I appreciate what they're doing, but it's not my favorite card in the set. Mad Hatter, green red, dual ink, ruby
Buns.
emerald. Do you think
The
buns?
the the buns of
Buns.
buns.
Wow,
Wow.
really? Whenever a damaged character challenges, you draw a card. If I'm not mistaken, that's what it is. 3/5, quest for 2. It's not my favorite effect. And honestly, for it being Mad Hatter and for it being like Alice in Wonderland and Emerald and Ruby, there's a lot of gray. There's a lot of gray in this picture. Very surprised at the amount of gray chosen for this image. I will admit that there. What do you think, Phil? I'll let
I,
your
I,
decision decide because I'm on like 4-3.
you're wow, 4-3. I would say I would go in the middle. Then I'd go 4. The thing is like a buddy of mine really plays this green red deck so
Hmm.
much, and like when he saw this card, he was excited. But I was like, "Why are you excited about this card?" Because and he was like, "I get to draw cards," you know.
Well,
Yeah,
So he was
Scarred is
like,
like the
literally.
same thing, no? But like
"Huh?
Scar, this has like a different little bit of a blanket because this doesn't necessarily say your characters. This isn't inclusive to that, but still, I just think that this card's just gonna get removed from the field before it gets any value.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly." I mean, it's like we all know it dies to Medusa, but that's why I said like tier 4. It's Mad Hatter, but you're right. Like there's a lot of gray in it. You're right.
Right.
I did notice that. So yeah, tier 4.
Okay. This Ratigan. I like this Ratigan. His ability is pretty good. It's not the best. I don't think it's like gonna be like meta or nothing, but 4/3/3 inkable. One exerted. If you play in action, you gain a lore. The artwork's okay. He's putting on a show. I think it's playable. I want to put him in a tier
Don't
3
sleep on that
section.
Radigan, man. We all saw how good Maui Shark is to gain the lore.
Hmm.
However, it's not an evasive character, so it's not going to be something that just can't be removed from the board by. This can easily be removed from the board by a challenge for most, if not every character. I would just like to assume that this card has a lot of like options. Again, that Ruby Amber strategy that you can sing a lot of songs with him, re-ready him like like there's a lot of ways for you to like gain extra lore, and I think its trigger will still go in the bag if you like fan the flames him, because it was exerted when you played the action, and so its trigger does go into the bag.
Yeah, it
It
will.
re-readies, but you'll gain that lore anyway. So
Yeah.
I would not sleep on a card that does something like this. And that's why its effect isn't that bad. Personally, I'm glad that they made a like an actual Radigan Enchanted. They made the Radigan's Party before they made this, and so it's interesting. But there's a lot of great Mouse Detective fans. We're looking at you, Lorcana villain, and I'm sure he'll be happy about this. So I'm gonna say tier 3. I
Yep.
think its effect's really good. I just don't
Yep.
think it's like the worst card, but I know I'm not the biggest fan of the artwork, but it's a Radigan Enchanted.
All right, I agree. Restoring Atlantis. This is a 5 cost uninkable steel action that says your opponent's characters can't challenge the next turn.
No, your characters just can't be
Oh,
challenged.
sorry, there he goes. Your characters can't be challenged. That's how it's worded. Kind of like Wabaku. It's like a Wabaku, but it's such a heavy cost. This is my buns. This is my second buns one. I've heard
Mhm.
people say they really like this
Mm,
one, but it's just not my favorite.
I think that card has a lot of potential. I wouldn't
Really?
throw it in
As a
buns right
5 cost
away.
unequal action? It's not a
Uninkable?
song. It's not a song.
I know.
Maybe
But
if you
listen,
ramp into
so
this. What do you think?
so
What do you think? What do you think, Lorcana man?
Yeah, I was thinking buns, but maybe Zach, you like I'm a simple man with a simple plan, and maybe I'm not like thinking it like all the way through. But I was like, I've cost uninkable, can't sing it. I
how
don't know.
crazy would it be if Ruby Steel started playing like Robin Hood Sharpshooter and a bunch of like jammed a bunch of like 5 cost like actions, and then this was one of them. Like I think there's a lot of like
Okay,
there's
with
a lot
sharp,
of
I can see
variance.
it with sharpshooter. Okay, you know what? I can see the
There's a lot of
sharpshooter
very
combo.
that's why it's not buns. But no, by
Okay,
all means, I'm not saying this is a very like good card.
I'll put it in tier
I
4.
just think that this card has a lot of potential. It's one of the first of its kind. But we saw how good a card like John Silver's Ship Cook was in the newest
Yeah.
set, being
Yep.
able to
Yeah.
prevent challenging. So I think that this card has a lot of potential. Sure, it's uninkable. Sure, it costs 5, but there's so many ways to be able to play it for free. I don't think that this card is buns by all by any means necessary. I think that this has a chance to be a good card.
Okay, okay. The Return of Hercules, an Emerald card. It says both players play a character from their hand for free. 5 cost sneakable Emerald card. I really like the artwork for this card. I think it's playable. I think if this ends up being a deck, I'll be really excited to play 4 of these in my deck.
Oh man, I'm very very confident that this is a good card. I'm not the biggest fan of the artwork, but I haven't seen this card in person. And to be fair, I'm very like biased to anything that's not a character.
Really, I, I, I
I'm
like I
pretty.
like I like enchanted actions. I really like enchanted actions and songs. I think they're so cool. So I like this one a lot.
I see.
Zeus
The
one
thing
was my
is
favorite one so far. The Zeus.
and then
Zeus
along
and
came
Zeus.
Zeus.
Along King Zeus and You're Welcome. Those are the
Yeah.
two that I were.
Huh.
Like I'm
I
mad.
think
I'm mad. I'm mad that like let that be prepared is not an enchanted. You know.
yeah, I like the art on this, but okay, so and I want to ask you guys. You guys are competitive players. When you play this, what would you play as your free card?
Kind of hard. Like I think it depends on the deck you build. I've been trying it in like green yellow, and
Uh-huh.
like sometimes like I just want to like cheat out Clarabelle or a Chernobog or a Surfer
Okay.
Stitch. Like I don't think it's worth playing like high cost like 9, 10 cost uninkables in your deck just to play a card like this. I think you're perfectly fine
Right.
playing like reasonable high cost characters that you might have gotten off Mufasa or you might be ramping into with like Gaston anyway. In blue green, same thing. I was trying to play like Hades characters that I think are gonna act as like removal. So when they play their character, no matter what happens, I keep the tempo. So that's kind of what I was going for when I was building this card. What about you, Zach?
There wasn't anything that I immediately like thought of that like, oh, I want to play this card with it. I just felt like it's a Emerald card, so the way to get the most value out of this is to obviously play this and play something that your opponent doesn't. So discard, right? Discard strategies, and I thought of Emerald Steel, thought of that Goofy that we talked about earlier when we brought up the Mickey, so that would be pretty funny. But again, these aren't necessarily like consistent strategies. So I personally like this card in something like green blue when you can play something like that
Mm.
big Mufasa.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah,
and,
yeah.
yeah, and if you play something like that and that gets to live for a turn, then you can do a lot of damage, I would say. So playing that for free feels like the best answer. But again, I don't like this card unless you have cards in your deck that like look at your opponent's hand. So like you have to jam like Diablos and Ursulas in your deck. You look at your opponent's hand,
Yeah.
kind of assess the situation if you should be playing this card or inking this card, and go from there. Especially if they're playing like Ruby Sapphire, you don't want them to just drop like a shark or even worse, a Maleficent Dragon.
Well, Dragon. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
so it's a tier two in my honest opinion. The artwork isn't like crazy good, but the effect has so much potential that like I again we're looking at the hero having a lot of potential, and we're really much a fan of the artwork. So since I'm not a fan of the artwork, but giving this card the potential of it having a good effect, I gotta say it's tier two.
I want to say tier 1 because I like the artwork. Lorcana man, you decide. Final final vote.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. So, question for you on this card: like, you play it, do you reveal the card at the same time? Do you guys reveal the?
You
Yes.
You know
you
what I mean?
first.
Yeah.
You
Well, you
you play
reveal.
the card. You reveal it first, which is why
Mm,
I think you have to play it in like a discard
mm,
strategy.
mm.
Yeah, because my thing is like, let's say I play that card and then I play a Maleficent Dragon, and I have to kill whatever out on the board, right? I can't
No,
kill
no.
whatever they, right?
They're both played at the same time. They both hit the board at
Right.
the same time, so you can kill what they bring out.
So
But
Gotcha.
so
So,
so
but
the way it
you
works, the
play
way
it,
the way it
and
works, the way it works is you as the player have to reveal it to your opponent first. So you make the
uh,
first decision, and then they make a
gotcha.
decision. But whatever is picked will hit the board at the same time.
Right. So you
and
go, okay, I go,
your
I pick,
trigger goes in the bag first.
yeah. So I'll pick a Maleficent Dragon, and then instead of me picking like my Mufasa, I'll drop like a T-Bow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, whew, I want to say tier two. I do like the art. But I do feel like yeah, it's really in between like Goo 1.5, but yeah, maybe
I think tier two.
tier two.
I think tier two makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
All right,
We
tier two.
yeah, 'cause, yeah,
Its
the
effects
next
got potential, but I'm not a fan of the art. You like the art, but you're not a fan of the effect. And then Kevin thinks
yeah,
it's the best. So we got we don't all agree on one thing, but the only thing that we can agree on is that it's better than tier three.
yes.
And
Way better
something
than-
that I think we're all gonna agree on that's better than tier three and better
Yep.
than tier two
Yep.
is this next Enchanted Tamatoa.
Oh,
That's the goo, the best
The
character
chase.
in this set by
yeah,
far, and the best Enchanted artwork, I think,
yes.
personally.
U plus. U plus.
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely the
super.
chase. This is the chase of the whole set. I like how this evened out too. We have all these even in the middle, and then the one buttons
Yeah.
and one more
Oh,
for the goo.
There's
yeah.
one you feel really good about pulling. There's one you feel really bad about pulling, and the rest are kind of like okay in their own respective like tier. But like no one's gonna be upset pulling that Tamatoa, even if it's not what you want, even if it's not what you're
Yeah.
chasing. Somebody's
I'll
gonna
give
want it.
I'll give you like 30 shmees for that. I'm just kidding.
30 Shmees. If you do the math, guys, that's not worth
Yeah,
a Enchanted
it's not worth
Tamatoa
it.
from the new set. Stay
Yeah.
tuned to our market
Mhm.
watches to find out how much this Enchanted Tamatoa is
Yeah,
tomorrow, because I'm personally I'm expecting this to be out the gate 300 plus, maybe even
yeah.
400.
Woo!
It's gonna be like Mufasa. Yeah, it's gonna be like 300 plus, like immediately. And then this is way more playable than Mufasa. This is like for sure you're playing 4 of this in most decks. Like, ooh, this is gonna
Yeah,
be, yeah, this is gonna
yeah.
be like up there. It's inkable, you know. So I think it has a lot of longevity overall in the sapphire color. But there you have it. There you have it, folks. The Lorcana Goons. We've just put all the enchanted rares in a tier list for you, based off of I guess how we feel we're gonna feel when they're pulled. We hope you guys enjoyed this. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Quest with a Guest with Lorcana Man, aka Howard. But yeah, so Arcadia's Island coming out this weekend. Super excited. We got a bunch of events happening this weekend. Howard, what do you got planned? Any final shout outs before we call it a day? Where are you gonna be this weekend for anybody who wants to go hang out with you?
Yeah, for sure. I'll be at DXN in Arcadia, Wildcard Cyclone, Pokebox, all the local spots, game seller that's near me in the 626. Trying to get as much product as possible. I'll be there. And one more shout out for you guys for doing the market watch. That's a really great thing you guys do. I think you guys really serve the community, people new and experienced. So really great job on that. But yeah, I'll be there. Um, come out and see me. I'm flying. I'll be back in LA for this, so I'll definitely see you guys there.
Yeah, I was worried. I was
Nice.
worried you're gonna miss launch week because you're working. You're out there working in New York, man. Thanks for doing this, by the way.
Yeah,
It's probably like midnight there.
it's kind of late. It's like 11:30. Yep.
That's really appreciate you, man. Yeah. So thankful to anybody that's gonna, came by yesterday, picked up your Arcasia's Island, and I'm hoping to have some this weekend as well. Frank and Son's collectible show, the number one collectible show in all of Southern California, and coming up behind it, I would say, is the Ninja Exchange in Carlsbad, where Kevin's located. You can definitely buy your Arcasia's Island from either one of us, and as well as any of your singles that you may need for those decks that you want to play.
But yeah, folks, if you want more memes in your life about Lorcana, if you just need some great content for your newsfeed, go follow Lorcana Man on Instagram and maybe encourage him to start posting more on TikTok, Twitter, wherever you see.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Or, if you're in the Southern California area and you see him at your locals, go say what's up. Go do some trades. An awesome dude. Really appreciate you for joining us, Howard. I know how involved you are with the Disney community, with the Lorcana community, with your work that you seem very passionate about. So we really appreciate you being here with us. It means a lot to us. I feel like we made a lot of good friends in this community. You told us a story in the beginning before we started about how we met at Project CCG in set 2.
Yeah.
I lined up. I was the first person in line because I wanted the Winnie the Pooh mat that I have right here still. I have it right here on my desk. This is the Winnie the Pooh mat right here. Boom, boom. It's the one I still use actually. And that was the first day we met. And thanks for bringing that up, man, because I feel like it's good memories, and I'm glad that we're friends and stuff. So it's been a pleasure. Thanks everybody for keeping up with Lorcana Goons. If you want to see more content, like, comment, and subscribe if you're a Lorcana Goons. And remember, stay tuned for the Market Watch videos so you can keep up on everything relevant right now that Arcasia's Island drops this weekend. But until then, we'll see you Goons next time.
Thanks, guys.